3 months ago, Trump wrote, "No deal with Iran except unconditional surrender." Little did we know he meant it was ours.
That was Jimmy Kimmel's take on Trump's Iran deal. And all of this is unfolding as the next stage of the process has already hit a snag. Apparently, Iran has delayed the nuclear talks that were supposed to start today. J.D. Vance canceled a trip to Switzerland for those talks at the last minute. Discussions concerning Iran's nuclear capabilities were literally the first thing that was supposed to happen after the initial memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran was signed. But apparently, that has now gone kaput. Meanwhile, criticism of the MOU is heating up. The Wall Street Journal says that Trump reached the deal, quote, from a position of weakness, not strength, in essence, paying a ransom. Tucker Carlson is also piling on. Take a listen.
It is absolutely impossible to say this is in any sense a win for the United States because it's not. This is a pretty humiliating loss for the United States.
And it seems that the American taxpayers aren't done paying the price for this loss. The Pentagon is asking for another $80 billion to help cover the cost of the war. It's increasingly apparent that this deal was not good for the United States. But one person seems to be in denial.
And it certainly brought Iran to the table more than before. However, beginning a conflict, you had talked about you only wanted unconditional surrender. And the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
Well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
Joining me now to break it all down is Michael McFaul, ambassador to Russia during the Obama administration. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Ambassador McFaul, one of the major reasons for getting into this war was the opportunity to limit Iran's nuclear capabilities. What should we make of the fact that those discussions around Iran's nuclear capabilities are being deferred to another day?
It means very bluntly, Trump did not achieve that war objective. He had other war objectives that he didn't achieve, but that was the paramount one. That was the first one. He didn't get it done. And he had to sign this memorandum of understanding to open the Strait of Hormuz, which was open before he started his war. And not only did he have to do that, he had to pay, or at least make pledges of payments of billions of dollars, some that we have frozen assets for the Iranians, others that our partners in the region will transfer up to $300 billion. That's what it says in the memorandum of understanding. So we're not just at the status quo ante before the war. We're actually worse off than when we started this war. And I didn't even mention the other things he pledged to get done, to end their missile program, to end their support for terrorism, to support the democratic aspirations of the people of Iran. None of those objectives have been met as well.
And as you suggest, this isn't returning us to the status quo ex ante. We actually had an Iran deal, as you know. President Obama negotiated that deal. Today, he weighed in on the newest Iran deal. Take a listen.
We've now fought a war, spent billions and billions of dollars, put an enormous strain on our military. A lot of people have died. And it feels like we're back where we were before we started the war, except maybe a little bit worse off.
Ambassador McFaul, is your former boss understating things? Are we just a little bit worse off, or is this a real loss for the United States? Have we lost ground here?
He's always a little more diplomatic than I am. He was being modest there. I think this is a catastrophic failure for the United States of America. The hardest decision that any president makes, including President Obama when I worked with him at the White House, is a decision to use force or not. You should only do that as a last resort. President Trump didn't use that criteria. He just decided to go in thinking it was going to be a cakewalk, and now we're worse off. We've lost soldiers. Thousands have died in the region. We're going to have to pay $100 billion to get back to where we were in terms of our military readiness. Billions around the world have been lost, including from American consumers, to pay for this increased oil prices. And we're no more secure, we're not more prosperous, and we're most certainly not adhering and supporting our democratic values that President Obama so eloquently talked about in Chicago. I was there for that speech. We're doing exactly the opposite. And this makes us a lot worse off compared to where we were 3 months ago.
Has this whole experience emboldened Iran and made us less safe?
Absolutely. The Iranian regime is, they feel like time is on their side. Look at what they got in the memorandum of understanding. They got billions and billions pledged just to do what any responsible country is supposed to do. Number two, I would add to that, it's the autocrats of the world that are all emboldened, right? Russia got a big payoff because of these increased oil and gas prices. Their allies in Tehran are still in place. China looks like the responsible stakeholder in the international system because they're not launching preventive unilateral wars like President Trump just did. So I think the second and tertiary consequences also need to be added to this equation. I do this without question is President Trump's biggest foreign policy failure, but I think it'll rank among the biggest failures of the last several decades.